Hey everybody, welcome to Skookum Tech Studio and Teach Me Something. This is episode 4 of Teach Me Something. It's my
Yeah.
turn. So I'm going to
Wow.
be
Yeah.
teaching John something.
Yeah. Bring it on.
It's already 4 episodes in. So far we've been pretty consistent. I don't quite have 3 edited yet. I'm halfway through editing,
Oh,
but I'll get
okay.
that up pretty soon.
All right, Jeremy. So, what are you going to teach us today? What
Are
are you going
you
to teach
are you
me?
ready to learn?
I'm ready to learn. I got my learning
Okay.
cap on, my thinking cap. I got my focus fox eyes on. I'm ready.
Okay, so at first it's going to look intimidating, but I'm going to start really simple. And I only say that it's going to look intimidating because I'm going to jump to the terminal and we're going to start at the terminal. Are you
Okay.
intimidated yet?
My least favorite place. Let's go for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
John hates the terminal.
I
Everything
do
should
hate
be a
this.
GUI. Okay, so I'm on a terminal. I'm on a Windows machine and I have WSL, and this is my favorite thing in the world. And in here on the command line, I'm going to do one thing that if you're a casual programmer or not a programmer at all, if you're just kind of wanting to get into, like, you see everybody online that's using AI to make this application or whatever. But you don't have to know very much to get started. You have to know how to install your AI. You can find how to do that. And you have to know how to, if you're going to do it this strategy, like using the terminal, you just have to know how to get to your project folder. You might not even have to do that because you could even just start talking to AI and say, can you set me this up? And it'll find a place on your file system to put it.
Oh,
But I
right.
am in Linux and I'm just going to see where I'm at. I'm in my user profile and I'm going to go ahead. I keep all my code in a folder called code. So I'm going to change into code. So now if I say present working directory, I'm in code. And now I have a directory that I called worktrees just because that's what I'm going to teach you about today. And the name is a little bit misleading because worktrees are a Git feature, which is like your source control thing. But I'm going to
Okay.
use the concept of worktrees to teach you how to, using AI, how to work on more than one thing at a time. So I'm going to CD into worktrees. Now I'm in worktrees, and I'm going to just show you what we've got here by doing an ls, list. And that media is blue because it's a directory. So I can list media and see what's in it. And I've got all these files. And so I can, these files, some of them are pictures, some of them are videos. And that's all I've got in here. That just have that one directory with those pictures and video in there. And let's say now that I'm in my, let's call it a project directory, worktrees is a specific project. It's a specific thing that I'm going to work on. Once I'm in that directory, it's time for me to launch AI. Okay.
Okay.
Now my AI of choice currently is Claude. So I just type Claude and it opens up and here I am in Claude. And that's really all that a casual programmer or a wannabe programmer needs to know about getting started, because from here on out, AI can really help you with whatever. It can help you figure out how to architect it, what stack to use, what that we say stack when we're talking about like what programming languages to use. It can help you figure out how to host it, where to host it, how much it's going to cost. It can set up all of the what we call DevOps, which is like when I get the application working right the way I like on my machine, how do I push it out to the cloud? And then from now on, how do I, after I've made some changes, how do I deploy those changes? And all of that stuff AI can help you with if you just get here. So that was all a little bit of backstory. What I really want to show you today is, let's say you're working on a project and you want to get your agent working in multiple threads. You want to have multiple agents working on your project. We're not there yet. First, we're just going to start. So I'm going to hit Shift Tab, and this is the same in either Codex or Claude Code, maybe some of the other agent harnesses, I'm not sure. But if I keep hitting Shift Tab, I'll eventually land in plan mode. Have you ever used plan mode, John?
I have not used plan mode yet. Is this a standard thing or is this just a odd
Thing.
thing?
No, it's a pretty standard thing. It's in all of the coding harnesses, so that's different than just the chat harnesses. When you're talking to your chat, like if you just go to Chat GPT and start talking to it, or if you go to Claude Desktop and start talking to it, You're just chatting back and forth, and there's no need for something like plan. Planning is for when you're in Claude Code specifically, or Codex if you're in the OpenAI world. And I don't know what it's called in all of the other ones, but plan mode is largely the same. And it basically means, hey, I want to talk about this, but I don't want you to do anything right now.
I see.
Okay. And it's not just talk about it, but while we talk about it,
Like
I want you to
out.
form a plan, and then I'll tell you when I want to execute on that plan.
Okay.
Okay. A lot of times what people will do is when they're in plan mode, they'll use a different model because we're not writing code yet. We're just talking about how to do it, how to, how to structure the program and stuff. So they might use a cheaper model. Okay, so in plan mode, let's just say, assume no programming knowledge. My agent probably knows quite a bit about me because I've used it a lot. I want it to pretend kind of like that I'm not a programmer. So I don't want it to, talk to me like a programmer. I want it to talk to me like it might talk to somebody that's watching this episode on YouTube and is talking to their agent for the first time. So assume no programming knowledge and little technical knowledge. I want to make a website. I have pictures and video in this directory, and I just want to make a showcase website. Does that make sense?
Sure does.
Okay. Now, when I ask it something in plan mode, it knows it can't execute yet. So it just does a bunch of, let's think about this. I just told it I have pictures and video. So it's going to go look at all of those, research what they're made of, how big they are. It's going to look at what I asked it. What kind of a website is this? It's going to look at all these variables, and it's going to figure out what it doesn't know yet. And then it's going to ask me a few questions. There's usually like 3 or 4 questions that it asks. And then I answer those questions, and then it says, okay, here's the plan. And then you can either execute on that plan, or you can keep talking through it with your agent. You can see as it's working on here that it's taken some time and it's taken some tokens. Now, I use Claude Code using my Claude Max subscription. And so it doesn't matter to me from a cost standpoint how many tokens I'm using. It is good to know how many tokens are landing in my context because my brain is filling up as I'm using this. So I just used, some 2,000 tokens coming back. Now here's this list of questions that it wants to ask me. Where is this going to live? Is this just going to live on my computer, or am I going to publish it online for others? I'm going to hit the down arrow down to publish it online for others and hit enter. And I just answered that question. I can go back to it with left, but I already answered that question. I say, I want to publish this one. The next question is, what's the website about? What's the title that should appear at the top? I'll just choose this first one. Let's just choose this third one. It's just a clean photo gallery. And then the third one, the style. What do you want the style of this website to be? Clean and modern, dark and cinematic, or warm and adventurous? Well, this is actually starting to hit on what I really want to show you, and that is, how do I figure out how to design this? If I go through this and I just say clean and modern right now, it's going to give me one website, and I don't know if I'll like it or not. So let's try this. Most of this I haven't practiced. I don't know how it's going to go, and even if I have, it's AI is pretty non-deterministic, so it's going to create something new that I haven't seen before. But let's go with dark and cinematic for now, okay? I hit OK. I hit OK again, or enter, because I'm answering all those questions. And now Claude's going to work for a while.
So the submit up top there, that was like you could submit your own ideas instead of just the prompts that it's giving you.
Yeah, actually, the submit was like, I'm done with all 3 of these questions. But what you said is, what if I want to give my own answer on any of those questions? I should have shown that, John. I can, and here we go. So here it's asking now about the media quality. It says these videos are really large. One of them is 76 megabytes. Should I shrink them for the web? So do I want to, yes, optimize them for fast loading, or no, keep the full original quality? Or, and here's exactly what you said, I can type something else.
I see.
And if I type something else, I'm really typing my own answer to this question, but I can also hit down again and basically just say, like, I don't think you're going the right way with this, Claude. I think that you're asking the wrong questions, and I want to chat some more about this so I can kind of exit these questions and drop back into chat. But what I've done many times is I've done that and said, actually, no, 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 and now ask me the questions again. So I've given it some more guidance, and then it comes back and asks me the same questions once again. Okay, for this one, let's go ahead and optimize it for fast loading. GitHub's free hosting makes the site publicly viewable by anyone with the link. Is that okay? So that's kind of a hosting decision. We could explore hosting decisions more extensively and figure out where we could host this. But let's go ahead and do that. Let's chat about this. I want to talk about free hosting options for a website like this, and talk about what web tech we use. Even what I just said right there, if you're a person who's never made a website before, you don't know about all of this, you may not know to ask those questions, but I'm going to have a hard time emulating somebody like that because I do have a lot of experience with websites and technology. But you can just kind of feel free with your AI to just ask it the way you know, and it'll kind of steer you the right direction. In fact, if you're asking questions that reveal that you don't know this space, it's going to be even more helpful. All right, it's come back with some thinking, and I do need to scroll up a little bit to see it. So instead of just answering these questions that it's asking me, I'm going to scroll up a little bit and make sure that I read what it's come up with so far. So for what we build it with, for a photo and video gallery, there's basically three approaches: a plain static site, a site builder. It's giving me all these options, and then it's giving me options for where we host it. It can be in GitHub, something called Netlify, or something called Cloudflare Pages. And then it explains all of those. And you know what I can do is I can just say, you know what, let's just build it locally for now. I'm really glad to have all this help with knowing where I can host it, and it'll wire it up and host it and everything for me. But just to keep it simple for now, let's just build it locally.
I guess that would be a question. Is I think there's a lot of things like that when I get into programming and doing this kind of stuff, and I kind of go, yeah, I'd like to just do this local, or I'd like to do it this way. Like maybe one thing I like to do is build it in Python, and then I'm like, I want you to redo this whole thing, but with I want you to I think it's good to ask early on, okay, if we build this locally, is it easy then to just put it up in the cloud or put it up on servers and stuff like that? Yeah. Or is there some like fundamental step that I need to do? I mean, all of this seems, I don't know. Or like, yeah, if I build it this way in Python, is it easy for all of it, to transition it over? Like, I feel like all of that is getting easier, but I don't know. Like with websites, I feel like it should be pretty easy, but
yeah, seems like it should. But even, I mean, when you're building a website, what technologies you're programming with, and that is HTML and JavaScript, basically.
Right.
But there's still so many frameworks and still so many hosting platforms. And so there's still all these technical decisions to make. I loved it when you said some time ago, John, that you were walking with AI down some path, just like trying to figure something out. And then you finally asked it something like, well, is there an easier way? It was like, yeah, you could just do this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, well, why didn't you tell me that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, because it knows that, like, there's certain things where it knows that I like Python. And I'm like, well, is there a better, like, if I just never asked the question, well, is there a better program to do this particular task in? It's like, oh yeah, there's a way better one, and you're like,
we kind of have to drop our affinities for languages, because if you think about it, in your programs that you've made, you don't even have to look at the Python, right?
No.
Yeah, I go, well, I'm going to choose this technology. I love this technology. Yeah, that's from when I used to write it by hand. I loved it.
Yeah.
But now I don't give a rip.
Yeah, yeah. And I think knowing there is some, nicety to like, oh, well, if something really bad happened, maybe I could go in and fix it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. But I guess I haven't fully trusted it yet to like with anything I've really wanted to do, but I'm getting there. I mean, it's like doing way more than I can do now. So, anyhow.
Yeah, its
because
capability is increasing, and I think that's exactly the way it is for me too, John, because I'm starting to realize what it can do and lean on it more.
yeah,
And I'm starting to go, oh, you know what? I could have done this a month ago. I just didn't know to ask it for that much, that it could
yeah,
handle that much. And
right.
now I know that I can ask it. And as a matter of fact, what I'm going to show you in a second, I think is a really good strategy that is one of those things I had to kind of figure out that I can ask so much and just let it
Mm,
do it. So
yeah,
let's go ahead and get through this
sure.
next form here. It doesn't really matter too
I just
much.
wanted to make sure the audience knew that you can ask it. Okay, can I? Is there a better way to do this instead of the way that I'm thinking? That's a good question to ask.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
right.
the other question, it's a good prompt question to ask. And then the other question is, um, like if I do build this locally or I do build this certain way, how easy is it or how hard is it going to be to, like how different will it end up being? Because I think like with a program that I created in Python, and then I have it switched over to an HTML, there was all these issues that ended up coming up. And so I think it's nice to know, like, is there a difficulty level there? Like,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
really good at comparing things, you know. So if you can say, can you help me to pick a technology stack for this program and help me to compare them to each other, because it'll give you the strengths and weaknesses of them, and one of them might pop up and just say like, well, this one, once, you know, if you're just doing it at a free tier, this is going to be easy and cheap.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get popular, it's going to start costing you a lot of money. So you can look down the
Mm.
road and say, well, I don't want to use that one because as soon as I do want to get popular, and if I do, I don't want to be paying, I don't want to have to re-platform or pay a ton of money.
Yeah. What I've realized is that it can compare things really well if those things are text driven. But as soon as I'm giving it like images and I'm circling things and I'm like like I'm doing certain things with images, it is good at that, but it's not as good as I would like yet.
Yeah.
So it's still getting there.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
let's look at
Yeah,
this
go for
now.
it.
It came back and said, okay, here's the plan now. And this plan document that it's created, see, it starts at the top here, plan, a dark cinematic showcase gallery website. This is the entire thing. This is essentially everything AI needs to know, even if it's from scratch and it
Hmm.
doesn't have any of the context of this conversation in order to make this happen.
Hmm.
And so I could say to it right now, for instance, let's go ahead and save that plan. And I'm just going to work on that tomorrow. I don't want to do it right now. I don't, you know, for whatever reason. So that plan is kind of self-standing. It's really nice in that sense.
Hmm.
But I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to say yes and use auto mode. Now, auto mode, there's analogies in the other harnesses as well, like Codex and Gemini and all of these. But auto mode is basically going to say, if I'm doing something remotely dangerous, like if I'm accessing files in another folder or something like that, how much do you want me to ask you about to be safe? And I usually kind of err on the side of Code Cowboy, where I say, you go for it. I trust you so far.
What's Code
And
Cowboy? Can you explain that?
yeah, Code Cowboy is when you just kind of take risks, you know, you just kind of go, sure, let's try it. Let's go
Okay,
ahead and
okay.
ship it, put it in production. I haven't tested it yet, but go for it.
Okay.
That's a Code Cowboy.
Nice.
No, the most the kind of the biggest breach of trust that so far that Claude has ever had is when I'm working on a project and I'll say, can we change this? And it'll say, sure, I just changed it and I committed that. And then I go, well, hold on a second, because I want to test it before you commit
Oh,
it. So
it
from now
committed it
on,
to
don't commit
GitHub.
anything unless I have looked at it and I say it's good.
It committed it to GitHub to like
Yeah.
your
Well,
okay.
no, not even to GitHub, just committed it locally into my repository.
Yeah.
But a commit is like saying, this is good. It works. It's a, you know, it's a good change. And if I haven't looked at it yet, I'm not ready for it to commit it. So I just tell it that, hey, don't commit things unless I've looked at it and given you the go ahead. And from
So
then on, it never does.
yeah, so that's one thing I just want to ask real quick, and then I'll let you get on. So I think one thing that I'm trying to figure out too is I'm very used to working on a file and having a version number, like this version. And I know that if I go back to this version, it'll be great. It's like how I left it, right?
Hmm.
But in code and in doing all of this, I haven't really been doing a good job, I think, or even doing like or a great job of saying, okay, this is my beta version of this, or this is my
Hmm.
alpha, or this is my alpha one, or any kind of
Yeah.
thing, because I'm just like, well, who cares? I'll just redo it or something. But
Yeah. Yeah.
where are you at with that, with this kind of thing?
Well,
Like,
it's
are
definitely
you
hard when
making
you're not
version
working
numbers
on
and
a
stuff?
big product with other people, because that's when those things become beneficial. When you're
Yeah,
just working on your own on one site, you may say, you know what, I don't need source control or version control or anything like that at all.
right.
I would say that you may not. However, at least source control is still really, really handy because it allows you to, for instance, experiment. If you can say, oh, there's this thing, I want to try it, but I think I might not like it. It might wreck everything, Then instead of
Yeah,
doing it and feeling stuck on that branch, you can branch off and try it over here and look at it. And if you don't like it, it's not even a matter of undo. You don't even have to do anything. You just switch back to your main branch and keep going. And you could always revisit that one and work on it some more. So it's tremendously freeing to use source control, even when it's just you.
yeah, yeah,
And the
yeah.
nice thing
I
is that with
agree. I
AI,
agree.
you can actually just tell AI, you know what? I always forget to commit or do this or do that, and it can handle that for you. And every time you move on to a new task, it can say, hold on, do you want me to commit that last one for you? And that's so helpful.
Yeah, that's so helpful.
Just like
Cool.
versioning is really good if anybody is using the software that you're creating, because they want to know that I'm on version 1.2 and nothing will change as long as I use that version. And so
Right.
if you tell AI, hey, if anything changes here, we need to roll the version, then you don't have to remember it. It's going to remember that.
So that actually is a key thing to be able to say in the beginning of processes like this,
Yeah.
right? To
Yeah.
say, and this is kind of like a thing that I feel like we need to do. I mean, this thing's working right now, so we can talk about this, but I think
Yeah.
there are like some fundamental things that if you're going to start making something, these are some fundamental things you need to do. You need to start with a plan like you're doing. You need to do this whole plan thing. It's a great idea, and work out like a plan. And then you need to basically say, is there a better way to do this? And then there's like some steps, and then you can say, okay, we're going to do this through versions, and you're not going to commit stuff unless, you're not going to commit things unless I tell you to commit things. So there's like a list, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, the good timing, it just finished. It's done. It's sitting here. It's like, what do I do now? Do I want to publish it or whatever? I'm going to kind of play the lay programmer and say, how do I look at it locally? Maybe I've never done this before. I just made a website. It says that it's done. How do I look at it locally? And a static website is a website that's really just made out of web files like HTML files and JavaScript files and such. And in order to look at that on your computer, you usually need to serve it. And there's software in every programming language, Python and Node, and JavaScript ecosystem, to serve files like this. And so you can just ask it to serve them. In this case, it actually just opened it as a file, so it didn't even need to serve it. But this is what it made for me. So you can see at the top here that we've got an index.html. And it looks like everything's kind of sorted and organized. And if I click on these, it's going to open them. And this is a website. It made this
Yeah.
website.
Huh.
But the design, I think we said dark and what did we say?
Oh, dark and I don't know, moody or
Dark and
something.
mysterious or something.
Dark and
I don't know. That
mysterious.
was the design of it. But let's go ahead and it looks like multiple copies open here.
Oh,
Let's go ahead and go back to it. We've looked at it. But now we want to play around with the design of it. So I'm not a fan of the design. Do you have any website design skills? Sounds like I'm talking to a person. Do you have any, nunchuck skills. But what I'm
Yeah.
asking is if it has any skills.
So you're saying that this is like a special thing you can ask AIs, or at least, Claude Codex Claude or Codex that,
Yeah.
hey, do you have a skill that does this specific thing? And if it
Yeah.
returns yes, then you say, great, use it for this.
Right. And, Claude is made by Anthropic, and Anthropic has like a marketplace of skills. And they may have a skill there. In fact, they do. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. But if they have a skill, then you can say, I want to use that skill. And then that skill comes down to your agent. It's not like other marketplaces where you have to download or install anything. It basically just sees that skill and it does copy it to your file system. But now all of a sudden your AI has that ability. So, but
Okay,
I
so
asked
that's
it.
like a new
Sure.
thing I didn't know about. So that's a great
Yeah.
thing to know about.
Yeah. Skills are really, really neat. But when I asked it, do you have any web design skills? It just answered and said, yeah, design is something I can do well. That first pass was deliberately safe, but let me make you something that looks good. Now, here's the interesting thing. A lot of times agents, in this case, the agent is Claude, will be confident in what they're able to do on their own. And you might need to give it a little bit of guidance to ask it to delegate this to something else. So when I ask it, can you design a website? It says, yes, I can do that. And it can. In fact, that's going to be our first pass. We're going to show how it is going to design this web page. And then we're going to implement a real skill, and then we're going to do some other things. So the first pass is it said, yeah, I can do that. Let's talk about design. What design do you want? Okay, well, let's go with something that's kind of showy. So let's go with elegant masonry. Okay.
Nice.
I'll hit enter. Now it's already built the application. At this point, it probably would be good if we were doing this for real to say, I want to get this in source control. Can we, you could just say it like that. How do we do that? And it'll say, let's go ahead and start a Git repository right here and commit this. And that would be a good idea because now we're making a change. And it would be good to be able to go back to this point in time and try a different one, but we haven't done that yet. You may have seen that error that just showed up on the screen. At first, those were alarming to me, like, oh, something's gone wrong. But it's actually, oftentimes there's nothing that's gone wrong. It's just that your agent has tried something and it errored. And it saw that error and it therefore tried something else. It's really clever in its ability to strategize and figure out what to do when things go wrong. But you see those errors, and if you're a developer, you're used to saying something went wrong in this process, but in fact it did. But your agent was smart and found another way.
Wow. Yeah, it's it's doing that all the time. It's incredible.
Yeah. If you've never seen this patch syntax or format, this is what it looks like when you're in Git and you're comparing code. The green with the little plus on the left is all new lines of code or an entirely new file, and red is lines of code that have been erased. And so it's just showing you what all it's changing.
Huh. Good to know. So you're not really worried about all these tokens. It's like this token reminder down here always.
Yeah, that token reminder is more for my information about how
much you've
polluted,
used.
not polluted, that's the wrong term. How much is going into my context?
Into your context. So
then about how much I'm being charged.
That's interesting because the in chat it's a little like clock looking, it's like a little.
Oh yeah.
It's a little bar thing, and it looks, if it gets all the way around, then you're like, wow, I must be really I've only ever got it like maybe 75% of the way there, but it's a nice little graphic. So what's the top end of this? Like, at what K of tokens is this like? Is it like kind of full? Yeah.
You'll hear that statistic, that metric for most models. So when somebody says the such and such, like the Gemini 3.5 model or whatever has a 1 million token context window, that's what they're talking about. How big can this bucket get of stuff before it's like, sorry, we're going to have to do something. And what it does is you either just start over with a new conversation, or it goes back and compacts your context. So if I got that number too big, you would see Claude say, hold on a second, I've got to compact your context. And Codex would do the same thing. It can get clever with how it compacts things that are in there. So they're still available, but maybe they don't, that they're not their original size. And in Claude, you can say context at any point with this / command. And it will bring up probably something similar to that clock, except it's, and I think that they probably have a similar command in Codex. It shows you what's in your context and what's responsible for that being in your context. Is it because you're just chatting a lot? Is it all messages? Or is it tools? Like you have a whole bunch of tools loaded, like lots of skills and agents and things like that? Or why is it that your context is so full?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is what we were talking about last week was there a way to, like, once your context gets full, like say we're making this website, it gets full, then it's like, how do we parse that out and create agents for pieces of those contexts so it's not as full, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
Go for it.
Yeah, and also remember that plan that it wrote when we said, let's make a plan for this, and it wrote a plan. Those plans are really handy because, or if you even if it's not a formal plan, there's just a lot of times when I've had to, for instance, pass from one coding agent to another, and I can just, like, we've talked about a whole bunch of things, but I can say, can you just put all of this into an instruction, like a task plan, so that I can give it to this other agent? And it does a really good job of summarizing everything such that when I paste it into this new agent, that new agent goes, okay, cool, I know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
So here's the report on what's in my context. And you can see at the top that it gives you this big graph of the whole context. And it shows you that I've used 71,000 tokens of 1 million. And the purple things are messages. So 51,000 of these are just the chatting back and forth, going back and forth on it. But some of them are system prompts, system tools. There's a little bit of skills going on. Anyway.
Cool.
Okay, back to the bottom. Sometimes I hit escape and I interrupt my agent on accident, so I'm going to be careful with that. It churned. Okay, I reopened it. Okay, perfect. So I think it's already done. I'm going to go ahead and flip over, and now you see something that it's honestly not all that different, but you know, it's a bit of a different design. It used a different font.
Yeah.
And I can steer it any direction that I want, but here's what I want to do. I want to take you to the next level, where instead of just working on this website with one agent, I'm going to get fancy and we're going to work on it with 2 agents at once. Okay. But before we go there, I'm going to be showing you the value of Git worktrees. And so we really need this project to be a Git repository. And I don't have to know how that works. I can just say, great. Can you
first explain what a repository is? Because it sounds like something that you would deal with in Enema or something.
That's different. Yes.
It's a different type of repository.
Well, it's not even a repository.
I know,
that's a suppository.
Right. Suppository. Yeah, but it's so close. It's hard to,
So close and yet so far away, John.
Yeah.
Okay, so a repository, a source control repository or a Git repository is basically, once one's been created in your project folder, you see it inside of a special hidden folder called .git. And inside that folder, it holds all kinds of objects. And those objects basically represent all of the files on in your project, but they represent it over time and change. And sometimes they represent it just as changes or deltas over time. And it gets really clever with this repository such that every single change along the way, as you make changes to your project, are saved. And it does it without like saving, like imagine you just, zipped it every hour. It's not that dumb. It doesn't have the whole project duplicated every hour. Rather, it's just all these little deltas that are cleverly stored such that you can go back to any snapshot you want and you're at that point in time.
Okay, so this is my dumb version of what you just said. It's basically like It's basically a copy of your entire project in this special format that understands all of the changes when those changes happen and as marked where those changes have happened and when they've happened so that you can kind of go back to those changes at any kind of given time.
Well said. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split my terminal so that I now have a one on the bottom. So the one on the below the blue line is actually, I'm down on the terminal, and above that's my agent. So down below, I'm going to make sure that I'm in the same work tree folder. So now I'm in here, and I want to say Git status. This is like the kind of thing we say when we're using Git on our own because we're a developer and we know how to do it. And it says, sorry, this is not a Git repository. Okay. All it means is that I don't see a folder called .git inside this project. So it's not yet a Git repository. Well, I don't expect the viewer to know what Git is, how to use it, any of that. So I'm going to just say to my AI agent, great. My friend told me it's a good idea to add my website to source control.
And source control is Git.
Source control is Git. Git is kind of the ubiquitous source control. There are other versions that have been around through the years.
Yeah, we use Perforce, which is intercompany. There's also there's a whole bunch of them, but basically it's just a way to put your file someplace that's not where, that's not your original copy, that's local, and to submit those there so that they live there and then they can compare and so you have kind of like a time vault for them.
Yeah. Right, that's exactly right. Perforce is a different paradigm than Git. However, Git has become popular because, and there's kind of one other that has this paradigm as well, but it's kind of decentralized. Like you can use it on your own and work in your own repository, in your own file system. And then when it comes time to start collaborating with somebody else, you can put it in the cloud, like in GitHub, and then they can pull it down and you can still coordinate your changes with each other, even though it's all decentralized. And anybody who has the repository on their computer can continue to contribute to the repository, can continue to change things. And it handles like, well, what about when I get done with my vacation and I come back and I plug back in at work and I need to reconcile all of those changes? It can handle that reconciliation.
Now, I think the big difference is like the reason that you don't use Git for, okay, maybe we could just clarify this real quick because this is still working, or are we ready to go?
It's ready to go, but go ahead.
Okay, so for Git, it's great because of what Jeremy's just saying. Like everyone can kind of use it, and it's all code, so it's able to look at all the code and compare and like put in the code and accept certain codes from different people in various places. However, like it's very hard to do that with actual files like movies and images and things like that. You can't, like if I went in Photoshop and changed the image and put it into Git, it's not going to know how to reconcile that with Jeremy's file if Jeremy had that same file in there, right?
Well, yes. However, that's a classic problem with Git. Git is really tuned to text files like code projects where the difference between this one and this one is this one has this line and this one doesn't. And you're right. Anything that's big like that, it's not what it was originally designed for. However, a long time ago, Git got this capability for recognizing large files like that, large binary files. And so it can handle them. It can still compare them and say, this is a newer version of it. It's just that it doesn't, you don't work with those files the same way. You don't compare them with each other and merge them and change them incrementally. You mostly just say, okay, there's a new version, so update mine.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in like Perforce sharing, you actually kind of check this file out and no one else can. It's like a library book. You
Yeah,
check it
there's a
out
lock on
and
it, right?
yeah, there's a lock and no one else can have this file. And then you kind of change the text inside of the library book and then you submit it back and then someone
Yep.
else can check it out. So yeah.
Yeah. And they go,
Anyhow,
I can't work on that right now because Bill's got it checked out.
right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. With Git, it's not like that. You both take a copy of the repository, you both change that file. And then if Bill pushes his first, then when it's time for you to push yours, that is put yours back on the server, it says, hold on a second, there's a newer version on there. So you've got to fetch Bill's version and then reconcile those changes, which 95 at least % of the time, those changes just get reconciled transparently. But if you and Bill both in fact change the same exact thing, then it might need you, the human, to go and say, oh, here's how I want that to work.
Right.
And now it's not even really you as the human. The AI, if there is a merge conflict, it's usually AI that says, I know how to resolve that merge conflict.
Cool.
Now, remember that before we did git status and it said, sorry, fatal, this is not a Git repository.
Right.
Well, I'm going to do that same command again, git status. And now it says you're on branch main and there's nothing to commit and your working tree is clean. So it's like it recognizes that if in fact I say, show me all files, that there's now a Git file there, a Git folder rather, and there's a bunch of stuff in it. So we now say this is a Git repository.
Okay.
Got it?
And yeah. And you're using the right language and everything. I don't know if like just the common man knew anything you understood or understood anything there. But I mean, like as far as, working tree is clean, like I don't know what that means.
Right.
But working tree is the folder and the space that you've defined for this Git repository, right?
Yeah.
Or for this collection of all of this copy of. That to me it makes a lot of sense. It is called a repository and we should call it the right thing, but it's like the copy of like what we've just created.
Well, actually, let me correct your terms just a little bit because I think you've got the right idea, but the working tree is that copy. So in other words, if a friend made a bunch of stuff in a folder and said, do you want it? And he gave it to you and you put it on your computer, you have a copy of that project and that is your working tree. You have the working tree. The repository is a little smarter than that because the repository is usually the working tree, but it's all of the history.
Okay, right.
So the repository is a richer term.
Okay.
And it's going to become more clear because soon what I'm going to show you is how to have multiple working trees at the same time, because one AI agent isn't enough for you. You need 2 AI agents to work on the same thing. And so you want to give them their own space.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so we know that we're in a Git repository now. Now, if I go back up to my agent and I say, can you save everything we've done so far in my source control? Now I'm specifically and purposefully speaking, like I'm not sure what I'm doing, just so that it'll respond the way I want. But see what it did here is it says, okay, your website is now under source control. Here's what happened in plain terms, and it describes everything that happened. And so I scroll down and I go, okay, can you save everything? And it says, okay, good news, everything is already saved. And then I can just say, like, can you show me the history of changes? So again, I'm still using these terms like I'm not familiar with it. But what it's going to do is it's going to say, I know that what the user means is that they want to see the Git history. And see, so it does this Git log, and it shows me everything that's been committed. So here's the initial snapshot of this gallery site. And this is when it was snapshotted. And right now it says there's just one snapshot. But if we make a change to it, then it's going to have an ongoing history of every single snapshot here. Okay.
Very cool.
Now, let's go ahead and say, you know what? I don't like the design. So I'm going to say, great. Actually, you know what? Now might be a good time to clear. And that might be a lesson for viewers. If you don't need any of the conversation you've had thus far to guide the conversation going forward, then you might want to just say clear. So I'm going to clear.
Equivalent of like hitting new chat. Right?
New chat. That's right. Now it still has this repository that we're in, this whole project. And so it still has that as context. It can look at it. but it's so if I'm going to ask it to change something about this, unless I want it to know what we talked about 10 minutes ago, I can just say clear, and now my context window is completely empty. It's going to be faster and less, vague. It's going to be a lot better. So I'm going to say this website is good, but I want the design to be light and happy. I don't know. Now, what I'm going to do here is we're just going to essentially make one change to the website. It's going to change it from that dark style to a light style. It's exploring the website right now. Oh, I noticed that the site is generated using this, and here's how it's generated. It's figuring it all out right now. It doesn't have that context because we cleared it. This is a dark cinematic photo video gallery. The whole look lives in the style block. So it's basically going to change the style. And it shouldn't take very long because it doesn't have to change anything about the content. It's just got to change the style. We're just about to what I'll call the money sequence. We've created a project. We've created source control and checked it in. We're making a change to it. But what we're going to do next is going to do some very purposeful, intentional experimentation. So we should be seeing ourselves more and more as managers of technology than individual contributors. We're not going to go and do it. We're going to ask our agents to do it. And like we talked about earlier, we should raise our expectations of what our agents can do. So I went from dark and cinematic to light and happy. But what if I want my agent to give me 5 options for the website? That's not something that I would endeavor if I were doing it on my own, because I know how much repetitive work that is. I would do it a different way. I would, maybe go browse some stock website templates or something like that. But I wouldn't just go ahead and make 5 things, because that seems like a lot of wasted work. But I can just make 5 things if I'm working with AI, and we'll do that.
Yeah, I was just looking at like the top websites of this year that were like, the most graphically interesting or whatever. And some guy was showing how you could just literally copy that website and kind of tell chat, hey, make it like this.
Yeah, and it can, and that website, everything that makes it beautiful is publicly served. And so your agent can go look at it, and it can grab all the CSS styles, all of the, the colors, everything about it, the fonts, it can grab everything, and it can use it as inspiration.
As inspiration. Yeah, but it just like totally steals like this. I mean, it's not steal. I guess it is stealing, but it's publicly. Yeah.
It's hard to say what.
I guess it's like a painting. Like someone could go see the painting and go, well, there it is. I could go and draw a version of it myself and get inspired by it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so now it's made this change. It says done. I gave the gallery this new look. Now we should know, as if we're programmers, we should know that I just made a change and it hasn't been committed. In fact, if I come down to this and I say get status, it's going to say there are some changes that haven't been committed. You're on branch main, but this file and this file have changed and they haven't been committed. Well, I don't want to commit them yet because I don't know if I like it.
Yeah,
so I'm going to come back up. And it asked me, do you want me to spin up a quick local server? I like that. So yes, spin up the server.
One thing I found helpful when making stuff is while it's working there is I say, hey, just automatically launch this thing whenever it's ready. Because I don't want to sit and look at this working window. Yeah, and kind of wait. So I'll be double tasking. I'll be doing something else on my computer, and then as soon as it's done doing that, it'll launch it, and I'll go, oh, okay, launch, and then I'll look at it, adjust, and I'll go back, adjust, and it'll launch it again.
Yeah, that's right. It's nice. Now in WSL here in my terminal, I'm able to hit Control and click, and this is a localhost 8000. So here we go. It's changed it.
Yeah.
And let's just say I like it. So I'm going to flip back here. I'm going to say I like it, commit. Oftentimes I just say commit or commit and push or commit and merge and push or something like that. But I just made a change. We're working on a history of our project. Now, if I just want to look at our history, I might say, hey, can you tell me my source control history? But as you learn things and you can do it in Git instead of through your AI, it's a good idea because your AI is very expensive. Like, you don't want to use this giant capable model to just run a command for you. So I'm going to jump down here and say git. I'm going to say git log. We saw that earlier. And what git log does is it tells us each of these things that's changed. So here's redesign the gallery with light, cheerful theme. We used to have to write all these change commit messages on our own, but now AI writes all of those for us. Nice. Whenever you see that colon, it's a continuation.
So, yeah, so it's like, it's whatever changes you make, like AI is just like keeping track of all those changes. Yeah. And it's so basically like when you ask it or when you commit it, it's like the list of all those changes is in there for everyone to go back to and look at.
Yeah. Yeah. And in fact, when I say,
I was curious about that actually, because I was like, do I need to tell it that? Yeah.
Yeah, there's this command called one line, this argument for the log command, git log one line. Thought it was called one line. Maybe it's one word. Yeah, there we go. And now it's showing me each of the commits on one line. And at the top here, it's saying that essentially head, which is where you're at right now, is the same as main. So this is another way of saying you're on the main branch. This is the last change. And this number over here, this funny hexadecimal number, this is the last six digits of the hash that represents that change. It's a very computer programmer type thing, but essentially what you should know is that it's a mostly unique identifier for this point in time. And if I wanted to, I could go back to this point in time by just jumping to that unique identifier. So once I have a really long list, I can go way back here and I can just jump to it and show somebody, and then I can return to main.
Huh.
Okay, so we made a change. We checked it in, but now we want to see. Let's not do 5 because I just don't want it to take forever. But let's say 3 different designs for our website. Okay, and we want to set an agent off on doing all of those redesigns, but we're in a folder system here. There's build MJS, media, and site, right? We do not want to set off 3 agents to work in the same folder. That's catastrophic. They all start changing the files to do what they want to do, and then they start throwing messages like, hey, I tried to change this, but it seems like somebody else changed it. You know, it's not good. And so what we need is we need to give each of these agents their own space. And those are called work trees. And it's a Git concept. There's Git work trees. Okay. And by default, you have one work tree, and that is this one, the one that we're in, this file system. Right. But I can tell it, well, go ahead and spawn some more work trees. And we can do that just by asking. So I'm going to go up to my agent and say, I like it, but I want to play with the design some more. Make me 3 very different designs and let me choose. You'll have to work in separate work trees. I should say, let me choose. Use 3 agents. You'll have to work in separate work trees. Okay, it probably already knew that, but I'm going to say it explicitly anyway. So I wanted to make 3 designs using 3 agents. So don't just, use one agent and make one and then make the next and then make the next. And then at the end, I get to see them. Rather, spin up 3 agents and give them all this work to do very different things. Now, I'm talking to Claude, my top level agent, right? Right. And when I say go, which I just did, I'm telling Claude that. And now Claude is going to make 3 agents. And for each one, he's going to tell them, he's going to say, okay, I want you to make a website that looks like this. I want you to make a website that looks like this. And I want you to make a website that looks like this. He sends them off. He delegates the work to those. He manages.
He's the manager. Yes. Yeah,
exactly. And we should all of us in these technical fields need to start seeing ourselves as managers of agents. That's, I think, where we're all going.
Hmm.
We need to be able to employ them, inform them, coordinate them, help them to communicate. And it's going to become more and more important. I think we're on the verge of agents having their own identities that are granted by the different technical companies. So right now, if I use Microsoft or Google or whatever, I have an identity for myself. I don't have any identities for my agents. And so I don't have any ability for my agent to go and access something as him or her, as it. I
So
can
you think
access
we'll
it, or I
get
can give it access as me, or using a system account. But we're moving toward a world where agents are born and then given their own identity.
So we might say like, oh yeah, you need to use like, Agent Smith for this task,
Yeah.
and Agent Smith is like really good at these kind of tasks or something.
Let me interrupt you for a second, because you can see now that the agent has created 3: playful, bold, and minimal Scandinavian. And if I go down, I see my main agent and I see each of these. And if
Hmm.
I enter on one of those, I actually get to look at what it's working on.
Hmm.
So I can see that my main agent has asked it to do something, and that it's working on it. And this is all of the information that it has is what the main agent gave it. And then I can go back up to my main agent and I can see the other ones, and I could go dive into one of those and see what it's working on.
Hmm. I like that. Man, this makes me think like I really want to change one of my programs from a Python web interface to from a Python interface that's just local computer to a very nicely designed HTML programmed interface, because the
Yeah.
HTML program interface just looks a lot cleaner and nicer, and there's a lot more things you can do with it. And I wonder if I could say, hey, make like 5 agents, separate work trees, and here's a picture of like the interface for this. Just, do 5 different ones that are close to it, and
Yeah.
change the variations and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, one of the whole benefits of AI is that what it does is repeatable. It's like asking a human to do something like go write a book. Okay, I can write a book. But then if you ask that human, write 10 versions of the book so that I can choose, no, thanks.
Yeah,
That's
no
that's
way.
way too
Yeah.
much work.
Yeah,
What I mean?
get out of here.
Writing a book is a lot of work. But with an
Yeah.
agent, you can just say, write 10 of them, and I'm going to pick which one I like the best. And so, this is ideal, being able to say, let's explore, you do all of this. And it's also really good for, I don't know if you do this, but a lot of times before I go to bed, I go, well, I'm going to bed, but I've just got hours where
Oh,
I'm going to be asleep and my computer's just going to be sitting there. It may as well be crunching on some things, right? I'll spend pennies on electricity to get some awesome stuff when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I've been doing it a little bit. I did it when I was making that music app a bit. Um, I do like the idea of when you said, "Hey, I haven't thought of all of these things that could change and make this better. So I want you to think about a lot of those things and then just improve." Like, I don't know.
Well, think about this,
I
John.
don't know if I'd be as cowboy to do that, but like, I definitely said, what things could I add to this software that I had that I don't have? And it gave me this list, and I was like, well, like 5 of those are good. And I was like, okay, through the night, put 5 of those in there. We'll check it out in the morning. But what I do like the idea of is the work tree thing, that it's like, okay, let's just do that. And I don't know, I don't want to touch the one I have.
Yeah.
Let's do a different work tree and change all these and try all this experimental stuff, and
Yeah.
let's see what
Yeah.
that looks like,
Well, and there's another term that you should know in source control world, which is branches, because that's exactly what that's for.
Oh yeah,
Work
make a
trees.
branch. Yeah.
Yeah, work trees are for when you know that the agents are going to be working at the same time, so they need their own space. But if you're going to bed, you can say, can you work on these 5 issues? Well, an issue might be a bug or it might be a feature, but
Right.
can you work on these 5 issues? And I want you to do it in parallel, so you'll need to use work trees, but I don't know which of these I'm going to like and accept and want to bring in. So do them all in different branches. And then when you wake up in the morning, you're going to have your main branch that is untouched. It's exactly the same. And you can switch over to a one branch that only represents one of your features. And you can look at it by itself and say, yeah, I like that. And then it's instant to merge that into the main branch. And then you look at the next one. Yeah, I like that one. Merge it. And then you look at the next one and you go, it didn't work out very well. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Let's try again and stay in this branch and keep trying, or let's just scrap it. I don't want to do that one anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is done. So it looks like it made the Sunshine Scrapbook, the Vivid Editorial, and the Soft Scandinavian. And look at this.
Let's check them out.
I know it put them all on localhost with their own port. So 8001, 2, and 3.
Love
so I'm going to hit Control. Boom. It opened it. Look at that.
Wow.
That's fun.
I'll jump back. Fun.
I'll hit this one. Oh, that one looks good too.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then let's look at the third one, Soft Scandinavian. Oh, that's pretty slick. Yeah, okay, well, which one do you like?
I really like that. I mean, the first one was kind of fun, but let's go. Let's see them again. Let's see the. I would probably go. Well, yeah, I'd probably go with. Actually, I liked one of the earlier ones that it did.
Oh, really?
That one. I thought that one was quite nice.
It's kind of similar to this one in its simplicity, but it's
font.
I like this one. It looks like a magazine or something.
Yeah, that one is kind of fun too. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to choose this one just for illustration, and let's say that we want to make it so. So we'll just simply say, I mean, it's easy as saying it's called Vivid Editorial. I like Vivid Editorial. Watch this. Let's go with that one. And actually, I was going to ask it to clean up the work trees, but first I'm going to copy this and I'm going to show you the work trees.
It's actually saying above, it's like once you've had a look, tell me which one you want. I'll merge it into the main and then tear down the servers and clean up the work trees.
Oh, perfect.
And all the other two branches.
Oh, cool. Look at this. And it's happy to mix elements. Like I want the Scandinavian layout, but with the scrapbook font. No, thank you. For my education, where are those work trees? And there's kind of a default, and it's guessed for me in the past as to where it might want those work trees. Remember, we were inside of code, inside of a thing called work trees. That was like the name of our project.
Yeah.
And it jumped out of that and made these 3 different folders: Design Bold, Design Minimal, Design Playful. Yeah. It made those all 3 as separate folders. And so we could go check those out, and they have their own files inside of them. Right. And they're, in fact, they're pretty much the same, but slightly different files, like different.
But since we made the GitHub in worktrees, is the GitHub for all of these still in worktrees? And
first of all, don't call it a GitHub, because GitHub is a service that's online.
Sorry.
Is the name of the software.
The repository.
So we're still in worktrees right now. And if I do an ls and show me all, I see .git. If I change and I go up to design, let's go into playful. Let's do an ls all and see if it has a git. And in fact, it does. So there's actually a repository in each of those.
Okay.
And if inside of there, I'm inside of it. If I do a git status, let's do a git log, and look at it. It's got the entire history, I think. Yeah, there's the next one, and there's the first one, initial snapshot. So it has the whole history in each one of these folders. This is a copy of the repository.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so now let's say I like the oh, no, it wasn't. It was the Vivid, what was it? Vivid something. Vivid Bold?
Vivid.
I like the bold one.
The bold one.
Merge and clean up.
I hope it knows which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully. In the meantime, I'm going to CD back into my work trees folder, and then I'm going to ls dot dot, which means list the directories above me, and you'll see that it has the design bold, design minimal, design playful. But when this finishes, those should all three go away. So if I repeat that, they're still there. The merge is done. Look at this terminology. The merge is done. Main fast forwarded to the vivid editorial design. What happened is main has this series of commits. Those are the changes to the whole repository. We initialized it. We changed something. We changed something. And now we went to another branch and we changed something. We made this vivid editorial design and then we liked it. And so we merged it into main, and all it had to do was fast forward main to, basically it had to add another commit to main. And now main includes that change that makes it look like the vivid editorial design. And now it deleted those branches. So now down here, if I list again, those are gone. So it cleaned up after itself. And if I say, well, what branch or where am I at? You can always say get status. You're back on main. So we just had 3 agents, make 3 work trees, 3 branches, 3 completely different sets of work. We chose one, made it so, and then cleaned up after ourselves. And that's where I wanted to end.
Love it. Wait, we weren't going to use 2 agents, or were we using 2 agents?
We were using 3. There was one for each work tree. Do you remember?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
So we did use this.
And
okay.
There's one thing that I forgot to show you though, and that was, remember, it did all of this website design on its own, but I'm going to ask it, do you have a front end design? I know that that's what it's called, but I shouldn't.
Skill.
Design skill in.
I used the right term.
Yeah, that's right. Good job. I'm just going to say, do you have a front end design skill? See what it says. There's this fun feature while your AI is working on something. At least this works with Claude Code. I'm not sure about Codex. You can hit /BTW and then start typing a question, and you can ask it a question that is completely unrelated. And it's really handy.
Really? Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. Okay, so no, there's
like in Codex, you can like start typing a question and then you can steer it. So it's like while it's processing, you can hit the steer button and it'll pop up and it'll try to,
try to add that into the conversation. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That's
okay, so
nice.
It didn't find it. It basically said there's not a dedicated skill. Here's what I found. This is something that I have. These are not related. I happen to know that this is in the marketplace. So I'm going to say, what about in the Anthropic skill marketplace? I think
see, this is a hack. This is a hack right here, everybody.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a hack. It's a bit of a like I just knew. I guess you could probably also just say, could you search the marketplace for something that would help me with whatever?
But we all learned this today, that we all learned that, there are skills that are out there that you can go get. They're kind of like plugins, I would say, like a plugin for that are, specific skills. I was designing something and I hated every design that it did. It was my resume. I was having to do my resume and I hated every design that it did. And so I went and found this website that spelled out like a lot of design theory. And I went and copy and pasted that in. And I said, okay, like use this website for design theory. And then it redid my resume and it made it much nicer. But what I was doing is I was copying and pasting a resume that I liked as a picture in there. And just as a picture, it was really struggling with trying to like understand how to get that to be that. So that's one interesting thing that I've found is, just having like the textual explanation is far better than a picture still.
John, this is hilarious. Look at this. It says, yes, you were right. It exists. It's actually a skill you already have installed, but you're using it in a different project. That's why I didn't find it. But it says, here's the slightly humbling part. Its skill.md explicitly calls out what to avoid, and it names the exact look I'd otherwise drift toward. AI generated design right now clusters around 3 looks: warm cream background with a high contrast serif and terracotta accent, da 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 da. And then it's like, that's basically exactly what I just made for you. So it says, do you want me to enable it for this repo? Here's 2 options: user scope or project scope. You know, I make websites here and there, so I think I want to say yes and make it user scope so that it doesn't matter what project I'm in. If I'm in any old project, it's going to see this. What's that?
You just went over my head. What just happened there?
So it said, yes, I found that skill in the marketplace and I can install it. And it's asking me,
but you already have it.
Well, I have it in a project. I have it in this project.
Okay.
And I don't think I did that right when I added it to that project, because I must have said, I want to install this in the project so that now while I'm working on that project, it has the front end design skill. Right. What I want is I make a bunch of websites, and every time I'm making a new website, I don't want to have to say, and go get the front end design skill for this project. I just want it to always be available. And we call that user scope. Basically, it just puts it in your profile, your user profile, instead of in this project.
Okay.
Let's install.
So you kind of just say, like you say, put this in my memory and always have this available.
Yeah. And we wouldn't technically use the term memory because memory is another thing. But yeah, put it in my user. All it is really is, if I jump down here, if
user
I say
scope
list,
is a tough one. Sorry.
If I say list my profile, this is, well, let's change to it. Change to profile. What's in there? This is what's in there. But if I say what's in there and hidden, there's tons of stuff, right? If I go into CD Claude, this is like a hidden folder inside my profile. And if I list what's in there, there are skills. And so if I go into the skills and say what's in there, well, there's a skill called Envato Elements. And actually, I think once this is done, okay, it says it's installed at the user scope. I'm not sure why I wouldn't see it here then, because I'm in skills. Let's try it again. Yeah, it's not seeing it in there. I'm not sure why, but basically it's just putting it in a user profile. That's all it's doing. But this is saying, one catch, plugins load at session startup. So this won't be active in this running session. Now, let's say I do want to keep this conversation. So here's what I do. I exit, and then Claude tells me, hey, if you want to resume that conversation, you need to do this. But I had to exit in order for it to load. And so now I'm right back in that conversation. Boom. But now I have the front end design skill.
I love it. I just asked Codex if it has a skill that can that can do resumes.
Yeah, right.
And it's
okay,
like,
so yeah,
there's no dedicated.
Yes, it has it. So now let's try this. Let's see where we're at. Oops, I always do that. That's a command that you would otherwise put on the terminal. So yes, I'm still in my worktrees project. Let's say this. Let's try one more redesign now that we have the front end design skill. You choose the theme and just make it happen. Serve it and launch my browser. Is this about what you say whenever you?
I don't say serve it.
Okay.
But I say launch when finished. Yeah. What's serve it mean to you?
Well, serve it is when you have a project that's made using web technology. So you have HTML and stuff like that. You can just open an HTML file in a browser. Right. And it opens it as a file, but it won't have all of the functionality of the website. Like it might not be able to run the JavaScript. It might there's a lot of things it won't be able to do. And so you serve it, which basically means that if you're in Python, you use one library. If you're in Node, you use a different one. And you say, serve this website, which is in this folder. And it starts a little tiny web server in memory. And then the browser goes to that little tiny web server. And now it's like you're viewing it on the web.
Yeah, I see. So it kind of makes like a mounted web space or something.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. When you go to a website, any website in the world in your browser, it's hosted somewhere, but it's not just hosted as a bunch of files. It's served using a web server. And that's what handles things like sessions and cookies and requests and responses and all of that stuff.
Interesting. Don't websites, aren't there multiple, well, now this sounds weird, servers? They're not servers. They're
What
not
do you mean?
servers though. Like, well, when you say serve it, are you actually, I guess, are you saying a mountable server?
I don't know
Like
what you
if
mean
there's
by
a
mountable.
server that's like a rack of,
Oh,
computers, like, yeah, I
you're
don't want to
not,
confuse that.
your
Yeah.
computer is the server. It's
Yeah, yeah,
running in memory.
yeah.
One that is a hardware server, it's made for that, is going to
Right.
be able to host thousands of websites and
But
handle all of their different sessions in memory at once.
okay, so like at my website that I have,
Hmm.
like through GoDaddy, I
Hmm.
guess it lives on GoDaddy's server somewhere.
Yeah. GoDaddy stores and hosts it for you. So they store it, and they
Yeah.
also have a web server that serves the files that it's storing for you.
So like that's like in Arizona or something somewhere.
Yep.
And if
In
that
a data
thing
center.
like if that thing went down and burned to the ground,
Yep.
all those websites would be gone
Except probably not,
because they
because
back it up or
they put it in like 3 locations. So if two of them
yeah,
burned to the ground, your website would still be served.
I see. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
Look
I
at
actually
look.
just read yesterday that Japan had figured out a way. I need to go see this again, but basically the Japanese had figured out a way to transfer data from one thing to another, and it was so fast, it was the entire Netflix library in a second.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. Right, it's working. Three
Look at the
minutes.
thinking that it's put into this.
Now, I feel like it says like, well, it kind of in Codex, it'll kind of say like, well, maybe I should try this, and then it's like kind of showing you like some of the thoughts,
Yeah.
um,
See
because it's
this?
doing a lot more than that.
Yeah, see this Control O to expand?
Oh,
It's
oh,
reading a file, but if I want, I can look into more about what it's doing.
yeah, almost done thinking. This is exciting because it's just like you didn't even do anything.
I know, you just sit there.
You
And
know,
again, now that we have the front end design, we could say, I want you to make me a dozen of these. I'm going to wake up in the morning and look through them all, you know?
yeah, a girl I was talking to, she's saying that, she said one thing that kind of feels fascinating about all of this is, like this is, viewers, like I'm a believer, and I think it's fascinating that like God created the world, like God spoke things into existence. He is the
Hmm.
Word, it says, and I think like we're like we're getting like a little taste of this speaking things into existence thing, and
Oh,
we're all
yeah.
liking it, we're
Yeah.
all liking it.
Well, I love that idea that we are all creators, and that's why it's so intriguing to create and to have creation tools. Like I love the tools that I have in my workshop at home. And when we have these really high-tech tools that allow me to do more quickly, and
Yeah,
I can just take whatever's in my head and just make it so, it's just so exciting. I think it's
yeah.
exciting because as a human, I'm a creator.
Well, yeah, and I think like God's the best creator, and so when you look around at Earth and creation, you go, man, that must have been exciting to make, you
Yeah.
know? And he's excited about it, but then we just do this little thing and we're like, wow, that's great. Like, so yeah, we're made in his image in that way, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's still work.
Look at how
Wow,
many
it's
tokens. It's
taken
crunching
some
through the
minutes.
tokens, isn't it?
Now, this is weird because I feel like it's taken longer for this, even though it has a skill set. Maybe that skill set is pretty like thoughtful.
Yeah, I think it
Um,
is. I think that skill set has given it some, a bit, I think it's doing a redesign. Here it's replacing a div with a header, which is knowing something about an HTML site to do that. So I think it's a little bit more mature in the way
yeah,
that it writes. Here
I
it's
want to.
bringing in fonts.
What I wanted to do. I have a Squarespace website, and I think I pay for that. I'm pretty sure I pay for that, but I have it through GoDaddy, like it's
Yeah.
hosted through GoDaddy, and I'm just like, why don't I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like
Let me
now
work with you on that, John, because you should never need to pay hardly
pay
anything
anymore.
for a website anymore, because all you need to do is store those files and they just get served. And I use Azure Static Apps, and they don't charge anything. You just put it up there. In fact, I just redid mine. And so instead
The
of
wage
paying for
one?
it, if you go to codefoster.com, look at what you get. Boom. So this is my blog, and in fact, like I just wrote this blog article on here, and it kind of looks all terminally and stuff, and like these are the posts and these are the categories, and
Yeah.
this is my new website, and I don't have to host it anywhere. It's just static website, static files on the web.
But I guess you're just paying for jeremyfoster.com
Yes, or codefoster.com.
or
Yeah.
codefoster.com. So that's the only thing. But they're
Yep.
hosting all the info on there, right? Like they're keeping that.
The codefoster.com is just a domain registration. They're not hosting anything. They're not storing or hosting anything.
So who's storing it?
I'm storing it in Azure and
But,
serving it in Azure, but I'm serving it in such a way that it is free.
wow, look at that.
Yeah, that is slick.
That's nice looking.
Okay, I need to wrap right here, John, but
All
thanks
right.
for letting me teach you something.
Yeah, thank you for this lesson. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, see you next time
All right,
on
see you,
Teach Me
everybody.
Something.
All right.